It is by far the best car to buy for under $150,000. What's up guys, it's your boy Chad here. Today what we're gonna be talking about is my ZL1 1LE. After 3 years of owning the car, it's finally for sale. In fact, it's sold. Do I regret selling the car? Maybe. But let me go back to the history of why I bought the ZL1 1LE. First thing first, back in early 2018, I had a budget. And my budget was just around $70,000. And at the time, there wasn't many cars to pick from. I'm a big Porsche fan. The GT3 was out of my budget, which is the 997. The 996 was something I'm not really interested in. And of course the 991 at the time was really expensive. So I looked at a 2007 911 Turbo, which that was the 997. It's got the Misgar engine. That thing is a bulletproof. It was a manual transmission with around 60,000 miles. The car was beautiful. It had carbon ceramic brakes. It was a dark blue with low springs. I believe it had coilovers at the time. That car was gorgeous, and it was just around my price range. It was around $75,000. I know the car is extremely fast. It's an all-wheel drive vehicle, 0 to 60 in just around 3 seconds. But that's not what I was interested in. The car was lacking a few things. When I sat in the car, even though I love that thing, it was lacking a few things. The first thing, it was lacking looks. The outside was kind of boring. For that price range, it wasn't exciting enough for me. The second thing is the interior. The car was lacking technology. The car felt old. I mean, at the time it was 12 years old vehicle, 13 years old vehicle. It was lacking a ton of technology. That car didn't even have a Bluetooth. And the third thing is the car sounded like a vacuum. I was not happy with the way it sounds. You can hear the turbos even though they sound awesome, but that's not what I'm interested in. That vehicle was outside the list. If I purchase that vehicle, now it will be worth much more because they went up in price, and that's how the market is. The second vehicle I had in my mind was the GT350R. I've always loved that thing. That thing was absolutely amazing. When I first saw that car, it was gorgeous. It looked mean. It has an aggressive exhaust, very high performance engine. It looks great from the outside. The inside looks awesome. Manual transmission. It's got tons of aero. It handles great, and it was within my price range. But there was one issue. The problem is at the time, that vehicle was almost impossible to get. They were going for $12,000 over MSRP for a used one.
Oh my God!
Brand new ones were going for about just $15,000 over MSRP, so it was about $85,000 car. I was not happy spending that kind of money, especially for a car that's built 20 miles down the road from me. I did not want to do that. The car was awesome. It sounds amazing. It handles like a dream. It's cheap to operate, but I could not justify spending over MSRP for something, like I said, that's made down the street from me. So I kept my budget. I stayed within $70,000 to $80,000, but it was very difficult to find the right car for that price. A Z06, I'm not interested in that one. I don't know, for some reason, the Corvettes are awesome. I love them, but Corvettes were everywhere. I just didn't want to get a Corvette. And there wasn't really many options, so I really kept looking for the Mustang, the GT350R, specifically the R. I love the shape of the wing, the wheels, which is the carbon wheels, that are painted gloss black, which I don't know why, and the rear seat delete. So one day I was invited to Lingenfelter Collection. They had a collection, and I think it was an open house or maybe a charity event. And I attended the event and I checked out all the cars they had in the collection. And one car stood out, you know it. It was the Camaro ZL1 1LE. I had no idea that car was available out there. I think I was just too busy where I didn't even hear about the car even came out. The last time I saw the car was wrapped in camo, was being driven on the street, and people were saying this is the new Z28, and I was like, wow, look at all the downforce it has, the dive planes and the rear wing. I was like, this car is sick. But I totally forgot about the car. I saw the car in person, I think 8 months later, or maybe even 10 months later in person, and I was like, this is a good looking car. And I'll be honest with you, and I'll give Chevy the blame. They did not market the car correctly. Look how Ford did with the Shelby. They blew it up. But Chevy did not market the ZL1 1LE. Anyways, like anybody else, when you see a nice car that you are very impressed with, what do you have to go and do? You go to Google and look it up, ZL1 LE, and I started watching tons and tons and tons of videos. The car was out. People tested it on the track. The records was set. I had no idea all that stuff happened. After watching review after review after review, I was like, this is the car. I don't care what anybody says, this is what I'm getting. I look at the price and what people are saying as far as performance. I'm like, this is a no-brainer. This is what I'm getting. Today I pick up the phone and I started calling dealerships around. What I wanted is a ZL1 LE with a navigation system and a PDR, which is the camera that's on the front windshield. It's a performance data recorder. And it had to be in black. The only one that I found in Michigan was white. It didn't work out. I found one in Chicago. That deal fell through. And then I found one in Texas. That deal fell through. And then I found one in Tennessee. That deal didn't work out. And then finally, I was able to work it out with a dealer in Kentucky. The car was shipped out right to my shop. It had 6 miles on the odometer. The car was pulled in immediately for full paint protection film, window tint, ceramic coating. What I did instantly is I removed the wheels and I took them to the tire shop. Took the wheels, swapped out. I did not want the factory tires. The Goodyear Eagle 3R, because these were technically slicks, and my intention was for the first 1,500 miles, I wanted to drive the car on the street, and I replaced them with the Power Sport 4S, just like what I have in here. That same week, the whole car was wrapped in a satin paint protection film. Everything was ceramic coated, the windows were tinted, and the wheels were installed. At the end of the week, we had a rally to go all the way to St. Louis, which was about a 10-hour drive. And most people know when it comes to rallies, it's a lot of high-speed driving on the freeway. I needed to break in the car, and I didn't know what the solution would be because I was busy at the shop and I could not drive the car around. I called a friend of mine, Jin, called him, hey, come on and drive the car, put a few hundred miles on the car, go wherever you want to go, and then bring it back to me. He goes, he put a few hundred miles on the car, he brings it back to me the next day. I looked at the odometer and only had 300 miles. I was like, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Chicago. It was about 4.5 hour drive. I wake up in the morning, I head out to Chicago, I grab the pizza, and then head back home. Overall, it put me just around 900 miles. I ended up driving the car and it was a lot of fun. Nothing happened to it. And then in total, I put around 1,300 miles on the car before I did the rally. And I did the rally and it was a ton of blast. After that, I started tracking the car. The car has seen a ton of abuse. I've attended a ton of car shows, a ton of car meet. I've done a bunch of rallies, spirit drives, and of course, lots and lots and lots of miles on the track. The color of the car was changed a few times. The first one was the satin black. The second was like a nice race car type of style theme with purple and silver and black. And then the one after that was the nice teal, a solid teal with the midnight on the side. And after that, I added some black tiger stripes. And the last wrap is this one. The car is for sale. 3 years and 4 months of ownership, 27,500 miles was put on the car. And I will tell you something. It is by far the best car to buy for under $150,000. And I will tell you why. First thing is the price. The car costs around $75,000. Second thing, it's got the looks. The car looks aggressive. It looks mean. It looks like it wants to eat you. Third thing is it's pretty advanced. It's got lots of technology. The sound system is amazing. The cluster, everything looks awesome. It's got lots of tech, ELSD. It even has the fly mode, which is something was introduced in the Z28, which is freaking awesome. The fourth thing, the interior. The seats are very comfortable. The materials were used on the interior is very nice and classy. Tons of Alcantara with some red accents. And I think they did a very, very good job getting the whole cockpit design. The only downside is it's kind of hard to see out of. Some people complain about that issue, but honestly, I got used to it within like the first few weeks. The fifth thing, the car got torque. This thing moves. 6th gear, doing 70 miles per hour. You just step on the gas and the car will definitely move. You don't even have to shift it. If you downshift it to 2nd gear, the rear end will probably break loose at that speed. So torque and horsepower, 650 pound-foot of torque and 650 horsepower. Where are we at now? 6? Okay, number 6, handling. The car handles like a dream. Like a dream. The Bilstein shocks that it has with all the aero pieces that were added to it. The car was unbelievable. I drove it a few times with the Pilot Sport 4S's, and then after that I used the Goodyear 3Rs, and they were awesome. And after that I bought a few sets of wheels, 18-inch, and I put some slicks on those. Some of them I had Pirellis on them, and some of them I had Hoosiers. Absolutely amazing. The Pirellis were the DH and the Hoosiers were the R7s. The car was unstoppable, laps after laps after laps around the racetrack, and the car didn't even complain. I don't feel the brakes were getting soft. The heat temperature was all up to temp. Everything was just awesome. I could not believe what I was seeing. Everybody that was driving a Corvette, they had issues with overheating, even though most of them have the same supercharger that this one has, which is the upgraded one. They all have some heating issues. Keep in mind, the Shelby, the Z06, and the ZL1, as what I know of, these cars are warranted on the track. So if I blow up the engine or if anything goes wrong mechanically, the warranty will cover it. And I had a few things. The first time at 11,000 miles, I had an issue with right shock. The right shock was making some clicking noise. That was replaced under warranty. The second time was the left shock at 17,000 miles. I heard the noise. It was exactly the same noise that was being made from the right one. I called the dealership and I told them, order the shock for me. They said, we cannot order the shock for you if you don't pay for it. We have to get the car in here to diagnose it, and then we can order for it. I was like, order it, I'll pay for it if that's not the issue. They ordered it for me. I drop off the car, they diagnosed it, and it was the shock. So both shocks were replaced under warranty. The third thing was replaced under warranty was the rotors. The front rotors, I was having some vibration issues when I was slamming on the brake at 150 miles per hour. You're gonna be like, this guy is crazy, 150 miles per hour. Well, when it comes to the racetrack, you do 150 miles per hour probably every a minute and a half, because that's how long it takes to finish the track. On a straight line, you're definitely gonna hit 150 miles per hour. Slamming on the brake, because vibration I was feeling in the steering wheel. I reached out to the dealership and I explained to them the issue, and then they diagnosed it and they replaced it under warranty. So far, these are the only three things were done to the car, and honestly these things are nothing major. I've replaced the brake fluids, I've replaced the diff fluid, I've replaced the transmission fluid. I always put fresh oil. I use the 15W50, and I always use good quality brake pads. In conclusion, the car is phenomenal. For under $150,000, what can you get? You can get the ZR1 at MSRP. That's a lot of car for the track, and it's a lot more expensive to operate. Look at the carbon ceramic brakes and keep that in mind. I can't come up with a car that will offer similar options to what this car can offer. And here's what I have. The car is for sale. The car is actually sold. I'm not emotional about it. I will miss it for sure. I will miss it. It's been a blast owning this vehicle, and I will definitely own a ZL1 1LE down the road. What am I gonna get next? Stay tuned.